This is the QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM, and I'm Jacqueline Curry. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. During her address at the COP30 high-level event, Environment Minister Rohijam Manjang stressed that adaptation is an urgent priority for vulnerable nations confronting rising climate risks. The Executive Director of the Gambia's newly established Tertiary and Higher Education Fund, Dr. George Ndu Tamberu, says the new Tertiary and Higher Education Fund is designed to drive transformative reforms and address long-standing challenges in Gambia's higher education sector. The National Eye Health Program of the Gambia's Ministry of Health and partners held a stakeholder forum to raise awareness and develop strategies to implement the World Health Organization's SPECS 2030 initiative to strengthen eye care services. As COP30 enters its final stretch in Belém, African civil society observers say they have lost confidence in the negotiations and they are now openly calling for a reform of the entire UNFCCC process.
Graduating cohort.
The Gambia Armed Forces on Thursday graduated 33 trainees in peace support and post-conflict recovery, preparing them for peacekeeping and humanitarian military operations. Those were the headlines, and other news in detail. Thank you for joining us. During her address at the COP30 high-level event, Environment Minister Rohijam Manjang stressed that adaptation is an urgent priority for vulnerable nations confronting rising climate risks. She called on world leaders to ensure equitable decisions, predictable financing, and tangible support. Julian Jai reports from Brazil.
Speaking in Belém, Brazil, Minister Manjang said the country is pushing forward despite significant climate pressures. She reminded delegates that although the Gambia emits little, it is severely affected by rising seas, coastal erosion, and unstable weather patterns that threaten food security and livelihoods. Despite this, the country has committed to a 49.7% emissions reduction by 2030 and a long-term vision for net zero by 2050. Madam Manjang emphasized that adaptation must be placed at the center of global action, stressing that progress depends on the support needed to strengthen institutions and protect communities.
Adaptation is no longer optional. It is an urgent necessity for safeguarding lives, livelihoods, and ecosystems, especially in the world's most climate vulnerable countries. As we conclude UAE Belém Work Program, the Gambia underscores that delivering the global goal on adaptation requires moving beyond planning to scaling of finance that is predictable and grant-based that enables real implementation on the ground. We urge all parties to constructively decide on adaptation indicators delivered by experts and optionalize their implementation for tracking progress in achieving global goal, climate resilience.
The Environment Minister noted that international support is essential to turn national plans into real results, particularly in countries facing the sharpest impacts. She said that without meaningful changes in how support is delivered, vulnerable nations will struggle to protect development gains.
Let us be clear, without accessible, reliable, and predictable climate finance, building resilience will remain to be mere aspirations. Therefore, the Gambia calls for an inclusion to have a significant increase in adaptation finance, particularly to LDCs and SEEDs, consistent with Article 9.4 of the Paris Agreement. A substantial and timely contribution to the fund for responding to loss and damage that corresponds to the scale of loss and damage suffered.
Minister Manjang cited the recent advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, which affirmed that restitution and ecosystem restoration are legal obligations. She said this strengthens the case for loss and damage support and reinforces the justice dimension of climate action. She urged parties to place equity and the special circumstances of LDCs and SEEDs at the core of climate decisions and stressed the importance of fair and inclusive global transition.
We cannot fail our future. We cannot fail our only planet. We cannot fail our women. We cannot fail our children and our youth, who are the most affected and the least contributors to climate crisis. The Gambia stands ready to work constructively with all parties to deliver an outcome from Belém that is balanced and implementable, noting that finance must be at the heart of the decision pillar.
Her closing message urged countries to act with urgency and unity, stressing that COP30 must deliver outcomes that are fair, practical, and capable of protecting the world's most vulnerable communities. Reporting for QTV News from Belém, Brazil, I am Julde Njai.
The Executive Director of the Gambia's newly established Tertiary and Higher Education Fund, Dr. George Ndur Tambedu, said the fund is being positioned as a transformative initiative to address long-standing structural challenges within the country's higher education sector. Alucise has more.
Speaking to QTV, the Executive Director of the fund, Dr. George Ndur Tambedu, highlighted the urgent need to tackle unemployment and limited access to tertiary education, especially among women, persons with disabilities, and youth in rural areas.
Currently in the Gambia, we all know the statistics. Over 50% of our youth population are unemployed. We also have quite a good number of discouraged job seekers that are not doing anything. We have a lot of youth that are neither in education or training or employed. How can we make sure that no one is left behind? We also have a lot of women, those that have disabilities, those that are in rural areas that are not in tertiary and higher education. So the idea of the fund is to make sure that we have high quality, relevant, and accessible tertiary and higher education in the Gambia. Gambia can be a model for higher education. We're trying to get Gambia to become a knowledge-based economy because a skilled nation is a strong nation. What do we also see? We have jobs that do not have the people. We have people that do not have the skills for the jobs. So these are the gaps that we're trying to make sure that we overcome and fill.
To ensure transparency, she explained that strong accountability and mechanisms will be put in place, aligned with the existing laws and policies, including the Tertiary and Higher Education Act, TVET policies, and national development frameworks.
We're going to put systems in place. We're not just ticking a box. Already there is an act, so there's a Tertiary and Higher Education Act. We have the TVET policies, we have the education policies. So there has been a lot of policies now. It's time to put this into practice and action. We have the National Development Plan, the Yiriwa Plan, and human capital development is a key pillar. We will ensure that we have the institutional frameworks in place to make sure that this is sustainable. We will also make sure that every fund disbursed, every butut spent is actually accounted for. And this is where you now need to have digital systems to monitor this. We will have a monitoring and evaluation and learning framework to ensure that every activity that we do, any initiative that we do, that we report back. And these reports would be available to the public to make sure that there's accountability and transparency.
According to her, capacity building for lecturers and trainers is also among the fund's priorities, with a focus on raising academic standards and attracting international students. She said the first month of operations will focus on developing institutional frameworks and digital systems to guide funding decisions and track impact. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The National Eye Health Program of the Ministry of Health, in partnership with the World Health Organization and One Side Isilo Lusotika Foundation, held a stakeholder forum to raise awareness and develop strategies to implement the World Health Organization's SPECS 2030 initiative to strengthen eye care services. Yafa Tugay tells us more.
The forum brought together participants from the public and private health sectors to discuss strategies for addressing uncorrected refractive errors, a major cause of visual impairment globally. The WHO SPECS 30 initiative, launched in 2024, supports countries to implement integrated people-centered eye care with a specific focus on refractive error. Its overarching target is to achieve a 40% point increase in the effective coverage of refractive error by the year 2030, ensuring that more people who need vision correction receive quality and effective eye care services. Dr. Ifani, WHO Emergency Team Lead in the Gambia, and Mr. Sajo Kani, the Minister of Health National Eye Health Program Manager, outlined the aims and targets of the WHO SPECS 30 initiative.
We are not simply unveiling a document, our initiative, We are also affirming a vision that every Gambian, regardless of age, gender, or location, has the right to see clearly and live fully.
The WHO Specs 2030 initiative is a global framework aimed at supporting member states to achieve their targets through the 5 strategic pillars. S, which is looking at services, P, which is looking at personnel, E, which is looking at education, C, cost, and the S, which is looking at the surveillance and research.
Globally, 2.7 billion people are affected by uncorrected poor vision, with 90% of these individuals living in developing countries such as the Gambia. Vision is recognized as a basic human right, yet access to affordable and effective eye care remains a major challenge in many low and middle income nations. Mohamed Kinte, operational coordinator for One Sight Gambia, emphasized the importance of the initiative in preventing avoidable blindness.
I'm so happy to be here because this is a milestone. It's a great achievement in terms of our eyesight, looking at how far we have come to, what we have achieved up to the stage that we are here today to see how to expand on partnership, how to do cost sharing, how to make sure that every Gambian get access to quality and affordable eye care.
Hadi Sohna is a participant from the Sheikh Zayed Regional Eye Care Center.
At the end of this meeting, we are hoping that whatever policies we make here is going to benefit our people, especially those at the grassroots levels and those whom we feel cannot afford the services.
The Stakeholder Forum demonstrates a collective commitment to strengthen eye care in the Gambia, ensuring increased access to quality vision services and reducing uncorrected refractive errors by 2030. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatu Gay.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more national and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for the perfect place to promote your product or place your advert? Look no further than QTV. We are the premier destination for businesses looking to connect with Gambian audiences and beyond. At QTV, we offer a variety of advertising solutions to suit your needs and budget. With our diverse range of programming, you can be sure that your ad will reach a broad and engaged audience. From our popular news broadcast to our exciting music and entertainment programming, QTV has something for everyone. QTV, the premier destination for advertising in the Gambia. Contact us today and let us help you reach your audience.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. As COP30 enters its final stretch in Belém, African civil society observers say they have lost confidence in the negotiations, and they are now openly calling for a reform of the entire UNFCCC process. Babakar Nyang, acting regional coordinator, Climate Action Network Africa, CAN Africa, spoke to QTV's June Denjai ahead of the final outcome.
For weeks, observers have moved through the busy halls of COP30, watching talks from one room to the next. Whether standing quietly or rushing between sessions, they say the process has raised serious concerns, especially over whether it is truly delivering for the most vulnerable. Babakar Nyang, acting regional coordinator for Climate Action Network Africa, CAN Africa, is one of those observers, and this is what he had to say.
We have a little win in the just transition, but we are still not optimistic that the outcome of this COP will support the global south. We are definitely skeptical because there is no goodwill, there is no a spirit of good understanding in the entire negotiation process, where people in the global north are only looking after their interests of protecting their investment or protecting their big corporation who they want to use in this climate space. And we are saying no. And to that is what is also what we are now calling for, a reform in the entire UNFCCC process. There is a push for the reform, and we have seen the presidency and President Lula talked about the reform in the entire UNFCCC process, which we are also ensuring that countries also put expertise from the global south to work on getting the reform, because we cannot continue coming here every year with the same excuses of we don't have money, we don't have this, but they can use monies to finance wars, they can use monies when it comes to private investment, when they need to pay a climate reparation or climate debt, and they are not doing it. So we're still skeptical, but with big hope that there will be a consensus, there will be a consensus on having a COP that will deliver for the needs of the people.
Observers came to Belém not to negotiate, but to follow the negotiations closely and assess whether the process is moving in a direction that supports the communities. Nyang said what they are requesting is a clear pathway on financing, just transition, renewable energy, and a shift away from fossil fuels towards 100% renewable energy for Africa. Again, the global south is also demanding for a pathway that is not privatization. We are talking about a grant-based financing. We are talking about giving support technically and also knowledge transfer, capacity building to the global south, and not privatization. We are not talking about investment that is going to now put our countries into more in-depth debt. We are not talking about private investment that is going to put a risk on our countries. We are not requesting for loans. What we are requesting is for climate reparation, the climate debt that these global north, these rich countries have for us. And they're the one who are destroying the environment. They're the one polluting. So the slogan of making the polluters pay is something that should be realized, is something that these countries in the global north must adhere to. And as COP30 draws to a close, that call for change expressed quietly in hallways and firmly in meetings may be the strongest message coming from the global south this year. Reporting for QTV News from Belém, Brazil, I am Julde Njai.
The Gambia Armed Forces GAF on Thursday graduated 33 trainees in peace support and post-conflict recovery, a milestone in enhancing the nation's capacity for peacekeeping and humanitarian military operations. The ceremony took place at the GAF Training School in Fajara, as Atubari reports.
The graduating cohort, who completed their program at the Yundum Barracks Forward Operating Base, has been equipped with essential knowledge and practical skills to contribute effectively to peace operations both within the sub-region and internationally. The training focused on conflict-sensitive approaches, civilian protection, humanitarian coordination, and strategies for stabilization in post-crisis environments. Conducted by the British short-term training team, the program featured a combination of formal lectures, outdoor lessons, practical exercises, and field training. Key modules included infantry skills, counter-improvised explosive device procedures, vehicle checkpoints, vehicle searches, vulnerable point 360 assessments, close quarter battle, battlefield medical care, and land navigation without equipment, among others. Major Usman Gomez, the Deputy Chief of Defense of the Gambia Armed Forces, emphasized on the importance of the training.
In today's security landscape, military personnel are called upon to operate in areas affected by instability, human crisis, and fragile governance structures. Their success in such mission depends greatly on the quality of preparation they receive prior to deployment. That preparation in turn rests on the soldiers of the trainers who shape their skill, mindset, and resilience. That is why this particular training could not come at a better time than now, when demand on maintaining professional skill and proficient soldiers in all our units remains high.
Ashley Meredith, a representative from the British High Commissioner in the Gambia, spoke about the strong relationship between the Gambia and the United Kingdom and commended the trainees for their dedication and achievements.
India and the United Kingdom share a deep and enduring relationship, rooted in history, strengthened in the present, and full of promise for the future. This connection is reflected in many ways, through the vibrant Gambian community in the UK, the British citizens who call the Gambia home, and the countless British tourists who visit each year. Thank you for your service and for the selfless devotion you demonstrate every day as officers and soldiers of the Gambian Armed Forces.
Major Abdoulaye Seka, Commandant of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, highlighted some of the key courses the graduates successfully completed during their program.
Skills you have honed here, which include counter-improvised explosive devices, house clearing drills, patrolling, mounted and dismounted drills are vital tools for fostering stability and saving lives in any crisis zone.
As part of the ceremony, the soldiers staged an impressive field demonstration, showcasing tactical maneuvers, peace support drills, and the operational skills they acquired during the training. This was followed by the presentation of certificates to the graduating officers, a moment that underscored their dedication to professional development and their commitment to supporting both national and international peace efforts. Aisa Tubari, QTV News.
Up next is international news. The rapid rise of artificial intelligence, AI, is transforming nearly every aspect of human life, from how we work and communicate to how we think and create. In this feature, Usman Jata explores AI's positive impact while examining the need to balance technological process with ethical responsibility in an increasingly digital world. Here's the report.
Just decades ago, life moved at a slower pace. People turned to books in search of answers, and letters took weeks to reach loved ones. Then came the computer, the internet, and everything changed. Now, another revolution has arrived: artificial intelligence. Machines can think, learn, and even create. Tasks once deemed impossible have become part of everyday reality. Professor Qi Yong-hee from Minzo University of China shares his thoughts.
We must welcome AI because it is not an issue of whether you like it or not. It is here. A lot of people are using AI. So for a person to survive today in this world, we have to have some knowledge about AI.
AI can learn from data, recognize patterns, and continuously improve itself. In medicine, it helps doctors detect diseases faster. In education, it personalizes learning for each student. In business and agriculture, it saves time, reduces cost, and boosts productivity. But with progress comes concern. Will machines eventually replace humans? Already, automation is reshaping industries such as journalism, banking, and transportation, raising questions about the future of work and human relevance. Dr. Shanxi Wei is a political and economic analyst with the China Global Television Network, CGTN.
Education should be prioritized because the education for the young generation that represents the future for the country's development. And the young generation, they could adopt these kind of new technologies.
Still, ethical concerns persist. Students who rely on AI to write essays risk losing critical thinking skills. Biased algorithms could widen social inequalities, and if left unchecked, AI might one day surpass human control. According to Professor He, the solution lies in finding a balance.
We have to set up a sort of a boundary before what we can use AI to, what extent can we use AI? Or shall we rely solely on AI? If you rely solely on AI, then what can you do as a human being? What is your capacity?
The question remains, what lies ahead for humanity in an era dominated by intelligent machines.
We need to work together to find some solutions to tackle those challenges and to formulate the kind of these regulations to tackle those issues and to have a better environment for AI to develop.
AI is important, but be careful, it is only a tool. Don't let the tool replace you or destroy you.
Some experts argue that the future depends on how we guide and use technology. Osman Jata, QTV News, Beijing, China.
And before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. During her address at COP30 high-level event, Environment Minister Rohit Manjang stressed that adaptation is an urgent priority for vulnerable nations confronting rising climate risks. The Executive Director of the Gambia's newly established Tertiary and Higher Education Fund, Dr. Jojonjuru Tambedu, says the new Tertiary and Higher Education Fund is designed to drive transformative reforms and address long-standing challenges in Gambia's higher education sector. The National Eye Health Program of the Gambia's Ministry of Health and partners held a stakeholder forum to raise awareness and develop strategies to implement the World Health Organization's SPECS 2030 initiative to strengthen eye care services. As COP30 enters its final stretch in Belém, African civil society observers say they have lost confidence in the negotiations and they are now openly calling for a reform of the entire UNFCCC process. The Gambia Armed Forces on Thursday graduated 33 trainees in peace support and post-conflict recovery, preparing them for peacekeeping and humanitarian military operations. That's all for this news bulletin. Join us again at 8 p.m. for the Weekend Review with Mahmoud Mboj and Ade Drame. Thanks for watching and bye.